Have you ever hit a fat shot, a thin shot, a shank, a duff, a top? I'm sure you have. Well, today I'm going to give you the simplest instruction to help you fix all of those shots. Today we're looking at the differences between what you do and what the best in the world do. And I've pulled out 3 things that I know can massively help. And the first thing is to do with that club face. If I take a set up to this golf ball and I'm just going to stand up and just put the club out in front of me, the grooves on that club are vertical. And as I move the club away, stays pretty vertical. But at some point, as I start to kind of fold my arms and my arms sort of do what they need to in a backswing, that club face starts to rotate open. You can see those grooves have now rotated through 90 degrees and they're sort of horizontal. So if that club face is going to open, it probably in the downswing needs to square if you don't want to spend your time looking for the golf ball in the trees on the right or reloading every time. So this is what the pros do very well. They will let that club open, and as soon as they transition into the downswing, they begin the process of turning those grooves back towards vertical. Now, it doesn't happen fully, but they start that process earlier. How am I doing that? Well, I'm starting to use my lead wrist. You can see as I tweak my wrist, I change the club face. Your club face will start vertical, it will open, and actually as you transition and you kind of rush your downswing, you get a bit snatchy. What happens is, keep rubbing that club face, as you transition to your downswing, it actually falls more open. Think about it logically. Club face is vertical, it's got to get back there. A pro will start turning it, 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 start turning it. They've got time. Very often the amateurs opens, they snatch the transition, club falls further open, and now it's a case of what can I do to fix it? I'm going to flick it. All of those poor things. Try this little exercise. Take a mobile phone. I'm sure you've all got a mobile phone. Hold it in the palm of your left hand. I can see the screen. And if I took a setup, then the screen would be pointing back over there, and I cannot see the screen. Make a backswing. Okay, I'm going to be in this position here somewhere. Again, the screen is pointing down behind me. And what I want you to do is transition. And imagine you've got a text message. Imagine you want to look at that message. What would you do? You transition. I can see the screen. Okay, so I'm going up to the top, check my messages. Now to check my messages, what I'm actually doing, well, you can see what I'm doing, I'm changing my wrist angles. If I do what is so common in that amateur game and the wrist goes the opposite way, I can only see the back of my phone. Okay, now that's not exactly what happens in the golf swing because there's no force, there's no club, there's no ball, there's no energy, but it gives you a really good idea about what that wrist should be doing as you're making that move, so that now we can go up to the top and we can start. As I made that same movement, look at what happens to the club face, it gets turned down. This is what we want. Please, whatever you do, avoid this. If you see this in your golf swing, you're making straight golf shots, good golf shots, long golf shots, consistent golf shots, so much harder. You need to work on that if you see that in your golf swing. Just hit a shot with my 7-iron. Come and have a look at the ground where I hit that ball from. So here was my tee. And you can see the divot has been starting where the tee has gone after the golf ball. So the low part of my swing was target side of the ball. That is exactly what the pros do. And that's really one of the reasons why they're so good. If we can get your contact so the club always lands on the ground after the golf ball, you're going to start to strike the ball better. So what is it that they do which helps them do that? Well, it's all to do with weight shift. If I set another ball on that tee, it's really all to do with moving to the left side really early. You'll see that I've got an alignment stick in the ground here, and if I took a setup to this golf ball, that alignment stick is just over the width of a hand, you know, in front of my lead thigh or lead leg. And what we would tend to find that the pros do exceptionally well is very early in the downswing. So really, by the time that lead arm is level with the ground, they've already shifted the majority of their pressure under that lead side. And you can see how as I do that, my hips physically move quite a bit closer to that alignment stick. Now, at this point in the downswing, if we can measure that, I'm going to have at least 80% of the weight under this leg. And as you can imagine, quite simply, the more I move forwards, the more likely it is that I'm going to hit the ground after the golf ball. That's what the pros do. So if you're struggling with strike, if you're someone who kind of doesn't take a divot, or potentially you've never taken a divot after the golf ball, it very well could be that your weight is staying too far back. And it may well be that your weight moves forward, but it's too late. And the reason that's an issue is because you can actually finish the swing here and think, well, I got my weight through, so why didn't I strike the ball particularly well? So for many of you, it's not so much the moving the weight onto that lead leg, it's when it happens. I'd love you to try and do it a little bit earlier. And all you're going to do is you're going to go back, and then in transition, you're going to move significantly towards it. Okay, so you can see I'm closing that gap early in that downswing, and I feel like I'm really starting to push and build that pressure under that lead side. Final thing, what do the pros do that you don't do? They explode and extend out of the shot exceptionally well. We're going to leave this here because we can also use that for this. Think about your body shape at the end of your golf swing. So many of you, if you get a chance to video your golf swing or kind of watch it back, when you finish your golf swing, you'll be in this sort of forward bent position where the top of my jumper or the buttons on my shirt are probably a little bit closer to the target versus my belt buckle. Don't see that with the pros. With the pros, you see this. Belt buckle is closest to the target, buttons are pointing more up towards the sky. This will be what we class as an extended position. I really feel like I'm arching my back. Watch what happens as I perform or rehearse the golf swing that I want. Early in that downswing, I move my lead hip, my lead thigh towards that alignment stick. And then what I do from here now is I take my belt and I push my belt onto that alignment stick as well. So as I rotate through, I'm still feeling like I'm pushing my hips towards the target to try and get my belt to touch the alignment stick. That will have the effect of tipping my upper body back, and that allows me to keep my arms super extended. What I don't want to do now is rotate and back my hips away from that. So common to see that. That would look like this. So we shift that weight early, all looks pretty good, but then through the ball, the hips back away, forward bend, you see the back foot kind of spinning out. Just doesn't look like the pros do through the golf ball. So this is what you're going to do in practice. Place your alignment stick, move your weight there early, and then when you hit the ball, take your belt and put it onto that alignment stick on the way through.